Fireside and say that this is the first time I'm trying to do this in a multi-simulcasting thing. My name is Vanessa Konecki. I am a business coach and an optimization expert, and I am really, over the last year or so, I have realized that as business owners, we tend to spend a lot of time giving ourselves shit about all the things that we're not doing. And I started to work on letting go of some of those anxieties. And as I started to work through those things, I realized that I was actually becoming more successful. I was happier. The people that I was working with on the same kinds of issues were also starting to see a significant change in their lives. And I realized that there's some power in this idea of not shooting all over yourself. There is a magic that is released within us when we stop giving ourselves a hard time about doing all the things that we feel like we about the things that we're not doing, about giving ourselves a hard time about things that we feel like we should be doing but aren't doing or don't really want to do anyway. So this podcast is an opportunity for me to share one or two each episode. I'll share one or two particular things that I or a specific topic that I worked on to stop shitting all over myself and share that story. So this is being live streamed right now. Let me just go and check where everything is, because again, I am all by myself and this is the first time. So we're all learning as we go. All right. So let's see what's happening with Vanessa, my personal profile. So, okay. I don't know why it's bringing me to my shop. Like, don't bring me to my shop. Just bring me to myself. I don't want to buy anything for myself right now. All right. So, okay, so let's see. Okay, so there we go. So I am live. All right, fabulous. So the fireside posted for me. Great. And I believe I'm also live on my business page. So at that point, we should be pretty much good to go. And then we will... I just want to make sure that I'm live on my business page, and I got to share it to my... Oh, look at that. I'm all over the place. Great. Let's share that to the squad, and then we will be good to go. Alrighty. Okay, so some of you are watching me on Fireside. Some of you are watching me on YouTube. This is the first time where I'm trying all the places now because I'm trying to see what I like, what I don't like. I've got this great camera view over here, which I think is like pretty cool. I love that. And all right, and here we are. We are also live now on YouTube and live on Facebook. So I feel like, let me just check YouTube, and then I think we're ready to go. Yeah. We are ready to hit the road, Jack, and start doing this thing. Your channel. There we go. Look at me. I'm live. Okay, here's what's super interesting. I am actually live twice on YouTube. I totally am live twice on YouTube. So I'm live once in like the vertical thing, and I'm live once on the the side. Okay, so let's talk about today's episode. Is all about what is the price that you are willing to pay for success. This is a really, really big one, and not something that a lot of people think about. And so I wanted to talk specifically about this. Now, the way that this works is this is a live podcast recording. So I'm basically going to be recording it, going through my notes and not really looking at the comments or answering questions. At the end, I want to invite anybody who is here to ask questions. If you want any clarity, if you have a situation that you're dealing with that you want to learn a little, that you want to like massage a little bit, I am here to help with that. Because ultimately, the biggest issue that I think that a lot of us have as business owners is that we really never think about the price of success. Okay, so I'm going to start the podcast now. 1, 2, 3. Hello. Welcome to the Stop Shitting All Over Yourself podcast. I am Vanessa Konecki, your host. I am an optimization expert who has worked with business owners and professionals over the last 25 years to help them optimize their lives. And one of the most important lessons that I've learned over the last few years has been that the key element to enjoying your life is to stop shitting all over yourself. And as a business owner, that is all we do. We are always feeling like there's something else we should be doing, somewhere else we're supposed to be, some other answer we're supposed to have, or something else we're supposed to be doing. And as a result, we often find ourselves both being in a space of constantly doing, but at the same time feeling like you're not doing enough, which is a real terrible, terrible place to feel, because you feel like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So, for me, one of the key areas that that really impacted my ability to be successful and really achieve the things that I wanted to achieve was the fact that I never really took into consideration the price that one has to pay to achieve those goals that I had set for myself. So when I'd sit down and like, oh, I have a goal, I'd get excited about the goal and I dream about it and be like, oh, this is what I'm going to do and it's going to be so fun. But I would rarely sit back and think about the cost of achieving such a wonderful goal. Like everything comes with a price. What is that price? And I never really looked at it. When I first started my business, I asked a lot of people in my audience. I remember asking them, what was it that you expected from your business when you first started? What were you dreaming about? What did you think you needed to get to where you wanted to go, right? And when you look back at that person who first started their business then and started to think about all of those things, how do you feel about that now, right? And a lot of people talked about the loneliness. A lot of people talked about the fact that they didn't realize it was going to take so long. People talked about the fact that it was really tough, that a lot of their family members didn't necessarily understand them. Oh, there was also one of the ones that came up a lot was the fact that they felt really like they were never doing a good job at anything because they were not showing up at home the way they wanted to show up, and then they weren't showing up at work the way they wanted to show up to. So they just really weren't showing up the way they wanted to. So they felt a really huge sense of disappointment that they had not achieved what it is that they thought they were going to achieve when they were sitting and dreaming. So there were a lot of feelings that came up as part of this conversation. Now, the first thing that is very important, when you're thinking about how you felt at the beginning of something versus how you feel right now, is really assessing the clarity of what it is that you wanted or what it is that you want. So the very first thing that we've talked about in many other episodes, so I won't go into it in this one, is getting clear on what you want. What are your true goals? Your actual true goals, not the ones that other people set for you, right? Or not the ones that you think you're supposed to have, but like your actual true goals, right? Once you know what those are, and once you sort of worked through that process to really get an idea of what it is that you want without being afraid that you're not going to be able to achieve it, now you've got that listed out. The next step is to identify what is the price that you are going to have to pay for you to be able to hit that particular goal that you have set for yourself, whatever that goal is, right? Now, I read a finance article a few years ago that actually inspired me to talk about this in my first training about 6 years ago, and then over and over again I've been using it because I think it's so brilliant, this idea that I read. It was by Scott Adams, and he was talking about why some people don't succeed in their entrepreneurial endeavors and other people do, right? So what is the difference between two people who are doing almost the same thing, but like one person who succeeds and one person that doesn't? So before I dive into that, I want to sort of set the stage a little bit, right, by using an analogy. So let's say that you want a new car, okay? And the new car costs $30,000. You have a few options to buy this car. So the first is you pay a full price, $30,000 for it. You pay for it on the spot. The second option is that you pay more for it by paying in installments over time. Okay, so that's the second option. So now you'll pay more, maybe like $40,000, but you'll have more time to pay it, so smaller payments now. You compromise, you find a cheaper car for less than $30,000. Okay, so that's another way you can get a car. You're like, okay, well, I want this $30,000 car, but I guess I'll take this, $15,000 one because that's what I have on hand. Or you can steal the car, right? Now, each one of those things is a price, right? So if you pay cash, that's the cash price. If you pay more for it in time, you're paying more time because now you're paying more money. So the price that you're paying to get more time is money, okay? On the compromise, you're paying the price of getting a cheaper car. You're paying the price in yourself by saying, I will compromise. That is the price that you're paying so that you're paying less money. If you steal the car, you get the car for free, but there is a price that you might pay for that, which is you could go to jail. Okay. So every single one of these options to get the car has its cost associated with it and has its rewards associated with it. And then you, as the person who wants to buy the car, makes the decision that, okay, this is the option that I want to take. Now, in most scenarios, for most of us, we're going to all opt out of option 1, which is paying full price, and opt out of option 4, which is stealing the car. For the most part, in a day-to-day, a normal conversation that we're having about buying a car, we'll really be left with those two options of, do I want to pay more in installments, or do I want to find a cheaper car for less than $30,000? And we don't really think about those other two for the most part, right? Once you've done that, you now know which one you can choose. So now that we have that analogy set out, let's bring that into our current life changes. So you're in your life now and you want to do something, you want to start a business, you want to build something. Now you decide that this is what you want. I want to lose weight. I want to get rich. I want to, hit 100,000 in sales in the next month or a year. We never really stop to consider when we are setting those goals or what it is that we want, right? What is the price to pay to get where I want to go? What does that take? Not just the price that I have to pay within me and not just the things that I need to do, but do I have the infrastructure? Do I have the money? Do I have the time? Do I have the effort? What price will I pay in my relationships, right? What is the price of success? I am not just talking about money. This is really important because when most people think about the price of success, they think about money. Well, I'll have to pay this for training, and I'll have to pay this for software, and I'll have to pay this for something else. But they don't think about the cost that comes, the other costs that are associated with running a business, right? Too often when we go into our businesses, we don't consider the actual price. We think about the stars in our eyes. We've got the possibilities that are endless, right? If you aren't aware of what it's going to cost you to get to the finish line for what you want in terms of the full price, not just the money, but the price that you pay, and we'll talk about what other types of prices there are in a minute, then you're going to end up creating an environment where you have no option but to fail or feel like a failure. So you will either fail or you will feel like a failure, okay? And because what you're doing is you're going into business with your eyes closed. Because we are scared to look at the price, because when you look at the price of something, what you're going to need to give up, it makes us think about all the things that could go wrong, the discomfort with the price. It often means that we will need to pull from our own inner reserves and challenge ourselves as business owners. Like that is a critical part of growing, of becoming a successful business owner, but that is uncomfortable. And so for a lot of us, we'll tend not to look at that and instead just look at what's the next thing I need to do? What's the next thing I need to do? And just stay on moving forward without stopping to think about, okay, do I even want to do this if I will have to pay the price that I'm going to have to pay? Okay. Now, the thing to keep in mind is that challenging yourself and growing is a fundamental part of being an entrepreneur, right? Looking at things about yourself that you're like, oh, this is hard. This is challenging. I have to learn a new thing. And sometimes it's not going to be learning a new tool or technology that's fun and sexy. Sometimes it's going to be learning a new mindset tool or facing something challenging within yourself. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur and hit all of your sales goals for a while, you're going to feel like shit when you try to avoid doing all the things that are uncomfortable for you, which almost every business owner does. We look at the things that we're like, oh, I got to do this, 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 and this. I have to go out and talk to people. I have to network. I have to, reach out to clients, and those kinds of things make us anxious. And so we'll tend to look at the things that don't make us anxious to do, like the stuff that's like doing graphics. I call those things pacifiers, the things that you do, like busy work or work that you always will default to instead of doing the hard work, because the hard work makes you uncomfortable. Okay. If you are trying to get to the place of success without feeling challenged and uncomfortable, then you're trying to steal the car, right? That is stealing the car, because being challenged and uncomfortable is part of being a successful business owner. You can't get to one without the other. So if you are trying to get to the successful part without being uncomfortable and doing some of the internal mindset work that needs to be done, then you're trying to steal the car, in which case you're going to have to pay the price for that too, right? And ultimately that price is usually feeling despairing, like you're failing, like you're not good enough, like you're not hitting your goals and you don't understand why. A lot of those come from not understanding the actual price that it takes to hit the goal and simply hitting the goal and thinking, if I do these things that I've decided that I'm going to do, I'm going to get there. This is the price of discomfort as you grow and challenge yourself, right? So are you willing to pay that price to be a successful business owner? That choice, no one can make that decision for you. That's up to you. But it's important to know that at the outset, because if you know that you're going to be challenged and you're going to be really uncomfortable when you start running your business, then it's not going to be a surprise to you when you have bad months or bad weeks or struggle or challenging times where you're having to work through some of your inner demons. It's going to be something that you expected to begin with, rather than a surprise and a slap in the face that now doesn't make you feel fearful. It instead makes you feel prepared, simply because you knew it was a thing that could happen. That is the really key part, is just being aware that this is a price. Now, as I started to think about this concept, the actual statement that Scott Adams said was, if you want success, figure out the price, then pay it. That's kind of what his thing said. Now, obviously that's fairly broad and not super helpful in terms of actual tactical information, because the first thing is you have to figure out the price. What is it? Okay. So we talked about the discomfort. right? So that's one price that you have to pay to be successful, is you're going to have to be uncomfortable. Now, the other part that is important to recognize about this is that this simple statement has extraordinary power, right? And when I look at everyone that I've worked with over the years, and I look back onto the reasons why some people make it and some people don't, it's for one of two reasons. One, either they don't calculate the price of success because it never occurs to them that there is a price beyond money. And I'll tell you, it never occurred to me up until about 5 or 6 years ago. It never occurred to me that there was another price to pay for success other than money. I just thought it was money. The other one is, and this one is harder, because you calculate the price, you decide that, okay, this is the price. I recognize that I'm going to need to be uncomfortable. I'm going to need to challenge myself. And then you decide you don't want to pay it. Okay. So now you've decided, I don't want to pay this price. So you try to find tricks around it. An example of that would be, one price for business is that you absolutely have to be connecting with people on a personal basis. If you want to be successful, you have to connect with people on a personal basis. Now, I have social anxiety. I have really bad social anxiety, and people terrify me. So for me, that idea of having to like connect with people on a one-on-one was so scary. It was absolutely scary. And so I didn't want to pay that price. And so what I did instead was I did cutesy pie, tell me how we met in a GIF post. And I did all the gimmicky things that one does to grow their business on social media. And guess what? It didn't work. It was just a lot of work. It was exhausting. And I constantly was feeling like I was behind on the 8 ball because I wasn't achieving what I wanted to doing those things. Oh my God, you can't hear me? Allison, oh my God, then what is everybody doing in here? Oh my God, you're amazing. You can't hear me? Allison, you're on here and you can't hear me.
I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Hold on. 1 second. How about now?
No.
Not now. Okay. Muted. Where is my mic? This is crazy. Thank you, though.
You're welcome.
Well, fortunately, you can't hear me.
I can read your lips.
I know.
Yes, I can't hear you.
Why can't you hear me? This is so weird. Hold on. I feel like standard voices. What about now?
No.
What about now?
No.
No. Okay, standard. Okay, it says that it's hearing me. Okay. Give me a sec. I'm going to go live again. I'm going to figure this out. Okay, so fortunately this is going to be edited later. So, okay. Okay. Why? All right. Okay. Okay, follow one. All right. Okay. All right. So I think we may need to, well, hold on. I'm going to go here also to Streamlabs. God, I hope you guys can hear me here. Otherwise, that's just like ridiculously funny that nobody can hear me anywhere. In which case, I'll just do this on another day. That's hysterical. Hold on. I got to go see if you can hear me. Auto captions. Okay, you guys are there. Okay, so I think you can hear me. Okay, so you can hear me on Facebook. Sweet. All right, so at least you can hear me on Facebook. I can hear you. Yeah, so people can... Oh, now I can see you guys. Okay, I can see you guys. I realized I was in the totally wrong place. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Sophia. Okay, so I'm on Fireside. Are any of y'all on Fireside? Allison was just in Fireside, and she was telling me that they couldn't hear me, which was terrible because I really wanted to, like... I'm just gonna, like, I don't know how to fix it is my problem. Like, I think it had something to do with my, you know what? I'll fix it later. I'll fix it later. We'll deal with it. We'll deal with it later. That's kind of, how do I fix this, guys? Okay. I need someone. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna restart. Does anybody know how to restart this thing? Okay. All right. Restart. Okay. There you go. All right. I am in YouTube. You should... Oh, I'm on Fireside. Sophia, go to Fireside. So download the Fire... We'll pause right now. This is an intermission. We are doing an intermission, everybody. Intermission. Timeout, timeout. Tom Brady wants a timeout. Sideline. If you go to, go to the Fireside app on your phone. So by the way, I'm actually thinking of switching to, okay, you guys all need to be sitting down to hear this. Please be sitting down. I'm going to switch to Apple. I'm going to switch my phone. I'm going to get an iPhone. I had a few experiences in the last couple of weeks where I've been thinking about it because I find it easier. So Fireside is really cool. I can bring you on stage. So I would go and download Fireside because I'm thinking of moving like it'll give us the opportunity to be a little bit more intimate, way better than Crowdcast. I've been playing around with this with Roxanne for a while. We do every Saturday we go live on, every Saturday we go live on, Fireside for, our, Rox and Ness show, which is, it's a, 20-minute quick show where we basically do water cooler chat for the work from home crowd. Oh my God, heresy, I tell you. And so what I liked about Fireside is that like, so it's first of all, it's designed more like a TV show app, which is what I really like about it, is that it's really very interesting. It's designed to create this community where, like, let's say Sophia, you're on the thing and you comment and you're like, hey Manessa, I really want to, I have something to say about what you're saying. I could bring you up on stage and then you could like tell me your thing and I could put you back down. So like it becomes more interactive. And so I really want to do the Q&A where like people who have questions be like, hey, pop on, let's talk about it. You know, if you wanted to, like, I want to build that kind of thing. I know I switch back and forth. I've been actually iPhone and Android and iPhone and Android. I've done both. I think that for what I want right now, going into creator mode, I feel like I want to be more in that space. Okay, so here I am in Fireside. Okay, so now I don't know. Okay, so I don't know how to tell if someone can hear me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do F36, 37, and we're going to start again. Just because I want to test it out. Let's start it now. All right, we'll see what happens. I don't know if anyone can hear me. Mute their microphone, okay. But we'll see, and if not, we'll be fine. I just want to, okay, I think you can hear me. I'm certainly blinking as if someone can hear me. All right, so when Allison comes back, she can tell me if they can hear me, and then we can figure it out from there. But I was having a good time, and I didn't want Allison to miss out on it. Okay. I love my Mac desktop. I can't stand when my husband asks for help on his iPhone. Not intuitive for me. Oh my God, dude, I don't think the iPhone is intuitive at all. Hi, Fiona. Can you hear me now? You guys were hanging out, but maybe Allison was the only one who couldn't hear me. Oh, you can hear me? Okay, Fiona, can somebody tell me you can hear me? Rock on, we did it. I'm so hungry right now. I just realized. Okay. I know that has nothing to do with this. I actually hate dealing with tech support, period. Okay, so hopefully y'all can hear me now, but if not, we'll troubleshoot the rest. You guys can find me on Manessa.Konecki on Facebook. If you want to carry on in there, you can. Ideally, I'm going to be moving everything to Fireside, but like for today, I need to troubleshoot, so we are where we're at. Okay, so where were we? Oh my God, we were talking about all of this important stuff. The icon looks like, it's a black square with a little fire thing on it. Oh, you know what? Go to my personal profile. It's right there. If you go to my personal profile and click on the live, you'll be able to get there directly. Okay. This is the one problem that I think exists with streaming in like 800 places, is that like not everybody can see everyone else's comments. So I think I need to like workshop how I answer, how I respond to comments. But you know what? We're getting there. Okay. I'm going to assume that everyone can hear me, and we're going to go right back into the podcast. I love it. I have all these messages from people say they can hear me on the various places. You guys are amazing. So great to have people who look out for you like this, like send you messages or whatever. It's just, I love it. Okay. All right. So we talked about, where we had left off was we had been talking about, people who try to find tricks around it and what some of those tricks are. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the price. I'm going to pause. Okay, how do I want to do this? I don't remember how it ended, so I'm trying to think of my segue here. Okay. All right. The thing about paying prices for your business is that paying the price is mandatory, okay? So whether you know you have to pay it or not, you're going to pay a price of some kind. if you're aware of what that price is, then you can put mitigating support down so that it doesn't impact you at all, right? So that you're like, oh, that's a price I have to pay. No big deal. I'll figure a way around it, or I'll compromise, or I'll do what I need to do to get where I need to go. But if you don't know the price, you're still paying it. You just don't know that you're paying it. I akin it to, I had a client once who came to me and she was making about $40,000 a month. And she was saying, I have no money. I never have any money. And then she said, I don't understand why I can make $40,000 a month and still feel broke all the time. And I was like, okay, well, let's take a look at what's going on. And so I said, let's look at your budgeting. What are you spending money on? And she's like, oh, well, I don't do a budget. And I asked her why. And she said that it was too anxiety provoking. She simply couldn't look at money. And as long as money was coming in and she was able to pay her bills, she was fine. But when you point out the inconsistencies in those two things, right? On one hand, she's saying, well, I'm too anxious to look at money. And so I don't look at my budget. And so I just, as long as money is coming in and out, I'm fine. The very next sentence she said to me was, I don't understand how I always feel broke, right? Those two things. And this is like, as saying this out loud in this way, you're like, well, of course, that's the problem. But the issue is that it's very easy to say, of course, that's the problem when someone points it out to you the way I just did. But when you are actually living it, that's not how it feels. And it's really hard to identify and figure out what those issues are if you haven't spent some time really thinking about it from that approach, right, of price and payment. So let's talk about let's say I wanted to, so there were many years ago, my sister, when I was running my boutique with my sister, we had a goal. So we were doing pretty well. We were making about $25,000 a month. We were super happy with what we were making on that. We had, other sources of income. Everything was working great. We were super happy. We were super happy in that we were making lots of money, but we wanted to make more money. Okay. More money we wanted to make. So we were like, we wanted to get to that $35,000 mark. And now when you're selling boutique clothing, there's definitely like in every business, there's like these thresholds that you reach, and then getting to that next threshold can be pretty challenging. So we were at the 25,000 threshold and we wanted to get up to like higher in the 30 to 50 threshold, which that's a fairly similar threshold there. Right. So we started to do the things that were necessary to get there. So, right. So our goal was to be that high, do that every month. And my sister, she was doing great. She does outfits and styling, and oh my God, she was doing amazing. She was creating tons and tons of outfits. We were going live selling constantly. We were doing the work. We were making the money. It was fabulous, right? Like money was throwing in, but God, then we had to package and then we had to ship. And because I live down south and she in Massachusetts and she lives up north in New Hampshire, she had to do most of the packaging and shipping. So that was extra work for her to do, right? So we hit our goal. We totally hit the goal of 35,000 that we wanted to hit that month. And it was hard. It was so hard for us to do. We were able to do it. But what we realized is that in order to hit that goal with the capacity that we had right now, we had to both either work 80-hour work weeks, okay, or we had to hire additional help, which would be more expenses going out, which means we would need to make more money to offset those expenses because otherwise our profit margin wasn't high enough, right? We had to sacrifice more time with our families in either case because we still had to sell. So we still had to do the selling and do the work because we were the face of the business. And we had to sacrifice more time with our communities and our families and our hobbies and our self-care. So in order for us to hit that goal that we wanted to hit, which is a great goal, and we were able to hit it, this was the price that we had to pay. Okay. We had a variety of different things we could do. We could hire people. We could spend more time on spend more of our own time. But in either case, these were all prices that needed to be paid to get to that space. And we realized after reaching that goal that we wanted that goal, but we did not want to pay any of the prices at all. And so we had conversations about it. We talked about it. And ultimately we realized we didn't want to do that because in order for us to get to the space that we wanted to get to, we would need to do things that we did not want to do. And so we made the choice to, instead of increasing our sales, how can we optimize our profit margin, right? What is it that we were trying to accomplish with our increasing our sales? Is there another way to achieve that goal? That's the price of compromise, by the way. So if you say to yourself, okay, I want the $30,000 car, but I don't have the $30,000 and I don't want to pay, more money over time. So, okay, I guess what I'll do is I'll actually get a different car and pay less for it. The same thing was true for our goals. We set really lofty goals. They were great goals. We were able to hit them, but it cost us something and we didn't like the price we had to pay. So we got to make an informed decision to not do that anymore. We're like, okay, we'll just scale back down and go back to where we were. And that's exactly what we did. Now, what's really interesting is I've actually had the same situation a couple times in my life where I forget that the price of scaling high, it costs money, infrastructure, time, so on and so forth. And I'll get caught up in the momentum of things, which I talked about in the past. And then I will remember that, wait a minute, I don't like the price that one has to pay to be at that level of their career. It's just not a place I find a lot of joy in. I don't enjoy the things that I have to do. I don't enjoy the results. I don't even enjoy the rewards. The money isn't worth it for me. So if the money isn't worth it, I'm not enjoying the process, why do I even have this goal, right? Those are the questions that enabled me to get clearer on what it was that I wanted to truly do so that I could truly create a business that would bring me money and happiness instead of just being on a treadmill saying, I'll be happy when I get to that stage. Eventually, I don't know when I'm going to get there, but eventually I'll get there. One day I'll be happy. One day I'll settle down. For a day that, quite frankly, has not yet come for many, many business owners who have been saying that for weeks, months, days, and years. They don't realize that with a few small adjustments to their perspective and approach, you can have that life now. You do not have to wait for the future to live the life that you've dreamed of, right? Now, if I'm going to be spending money, extra money on a staff to scale up, then that means that I am contributing more money. I need to contribute more time. Okay, so that's another price, the price of time. Okay, so you have to decide how much time you are willing to spend on hitting this goal in a given time. I had someone who approached me one time who said that they wanted to, they were making $500 a month on their product sales, and they wanted to make, I think, what was it, 10,000? No, they want to make 10,000. Yep, they want to make 10,000, and they wanted to make 10,000. It was just totally doable, but they wanted to make 10,000 in 3 months. And I said, okay, well, in order to sell 10,000, you need to have this many customers. In order for you to have this many customers, you're going to need to do these things. You're going to need to go out and network. You're going to need to know how to go to vendor events. You're going to have to put yourself out there, connect with people, because, or you're going to have to hire a marketing firm to actually put together your entire marketing plan and throw money at this problem to be able to get there. But to go to 500 to 10,000 in 3 months, just like that, is a fluke. For most, it's just, if it happens to anyone, it happens as a fluke or a shot in the dark, something that's, oh my goodness, like this is everything happened at once, right? And we've definitely seen that happen with people. But what happens is a lot of business owners hold that up as the standard. So the person who's able to make $10,000 in 3 months, like each month in 3 months, like go from 500 to 10,000 in 3 months, is held up as the standard instead of being held up as the exception. And it's important to remember that for most business owners, there is going to be a ramp and it's going to take time. Okay. So either you're going to pay time, right? So you can do whatever it is you're doing and be consistent and invest, 10 hours here, 10 hours here, 10 hours here, 10 hours here until you get to where you want to go. You can invest more time, right? So you invest 50 hours, 100 hours, so on and so forth, which will, burn you out like a candle. Or you can throw money at the problem. But once again, those are the prices that you're going to have to pay to get to that goal you have set for 3 months. You have to know that price, because let's say you don't know that that's the price. You're like, that's my goal, right? And you just say, that's what I'm going to do. At the end of 3 months, you don't hit it because you're not one of the flukes, right? Now you feel like a failure. Well, you shouldn't feel like a failure. I mean, stop shitting all over yourself. But there's no need for you to feel like a failure, because your expectation that you had set for yourself was an unrealistic one to begin with. Nobody could have hit that, right? It's akin to you walking outside right now and going and being really depressed because you're not flying. I'm such a failure because I can't fly. Why am I not flying right now? Right? And if I came to you crying, you'll be like, well, I mean, that's just not how it works, right? But if you want to fly, you can hang glide, you can parachute. There's a lot of other things that you can do to get that feeling that you're looking for with the flying. This probably not going to be the one, right? And that's one of the key things to keep in mind is if you're not looking at the price, then you're essentially doing this, right? Okay, so, all right. So that is the price of time. There's also an added problem with that. That's the price of relationships, okay? So if you're going to give up your time to grow your business. So you're like, okay, I'm just going to devote all of my time now and mortgage these relationships and these friendships and my time and my health for the present, for the future success that I'm going to get. You eventually will stop spending time with your family. You will always be on your phone, constantly looking at it, right? Your family will feel like they're sharing you with their business. They will miss you. They will feel lonely without you. You will feel resentful because you want to be with them, but at the same time, you need to be doing your work and you'll feel like nobody understands. This can create a lot of tension within relationships that is really nobody's fault. It's just a matter of, again, misaligned expectations about what it means to run a business, what the price of running a business is, and what some of the compromises are that people need to make as part of that process. Now, when Syra and I were back in the day, so Syra and I are back there and we're talking, we decided that we weren't willing to pay that price. We didn't want to hire more help. We didn't want to sacrifice what was necessary to achieve that goal. Now, mind you, when I say this, we didn't have one conversation that basically was the price of success. And we're like, okay, yes, you know what? We don't want to pay this price. We're done. That is absolutely not how it happened. It was a lot of little conversations. We first actually tried it the way everybody else does. Okay. So when we were trying to build up to the 30,000, we tried by doing by not paying the money and the effort, using gimmicks and getting quick sales and trying to play cute with the algorithm, which is what a lot of people do when they're trying to steal the car. Right. But in the end, it didn't matter. No matter how much we tried to get around it, we had to pay that price. Okay. We realized that. And that's the price. To make it take less time, we knew we'd have to spend more money or more time. Again, we didn't want to do that. So after a few months and many conversations, we realized that the price was not worth it, and we made a different choice. Now, this is heavy shit because it calls into question a lot of the goals that you've set in your past, right? So like in myself too, like this is once I started to think this way, and the truth is once you start to put this into place in your life, you'll start to see everything as a price. Oh, what's the price you're going to pay? Oh, I don't want to pay that. Okay. You will start to feel so much better about yourself because you're now making decisions instead of saying things like, I can't do this because, right? Or this wouldn't work for me, or letting self-esteem stories get in the way. This gives you another alternative to that conversation. So now your reason for not doing something doesn't have to be just because you're incapable or unable to do it or you failed somehow. It can just be that you made a decision that there are many different ways to live a life, and that is not your choice. And that empowers you instead of feeling like it's happened to you, which is something very challenging because I think for me in the beginning stages of my business, I really felt like a lot of things were just happening to me and I didn't really understand how to pick it up and turn it around. And it wasn't until I took ownership of my choices and said, okay, each of these things that I do in my business is a choice, that I started to feel more empowered because I realized I have the ability to mold whatever the future of my business looks like, but I have to do it intentionally. Otherwise, I'm just going to be doing it like, oh, okay, I'll just do this and I'll do this and I'll do this. And you don't really know what you're building. You're kind of just doing stuff. Okay. Now this is hard stuff, but it is a good thing because one of the reasons, okay, this is the biggest thing. One of the reasons that people don't hit their goals is because they aren't aware that there's a price. That's actually all it is. It's you're not aware that there's a price. Or if they do, they don't know what it is because they haven't spent time really thinking about it. When you look back, and this is, I want to encourage you to do this. This is going to be your homework for this podcast, but you can do it right now, of course, is I want you to think back to your first week of running a business. So when you were first running a business, that first week that you had it, or like that you were dreaming about it, right? What were you expecting? What did you hope would happen, right? So like I've asked this of my community many times, and I'd love to hear what you think as new listeners or as longtime listeners. What has changed, right? When you thought about what you wanted, how do you feel now about those expectations, right? What happened? What did you expect? What has happened that you didn't expect, right? If you look at what you're disappointed or upset about in your business right now or in your life right now, a lot of that is a result of you just not being aware of the price, or of the price being marked as different from the one you expected, right? So like when I first started in direct sales, what I was told right at the time was that it was a super easy way to make money. And the truth is it really was when I first started, like so easy to make money off of it, right? That was my expectation. That's what I got. But just like with every business, after a few months, you hit the edge of your warm market, and now I had to move into my colder market, and it started to get harder and harder, and I didn't expect it to get hard. Now, obviously, there were a whole lot of other things that happened after that that made it much, much harder, but the thing is, I didn't expect it, and my disappointment came from the fact that I thought it would be easy, and it wasn't. Now, when I look back, I was trying to make, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Of course, it's not going to be easy, but I didn't have that expectation, right? I thought it was going to be easy. And so that's the important thing to keep in mind, is that a lot of times the reason why we feel bad about how our business is going is because whatever the expectation is that we had, our business is not meeting that expectation, right? Now, when you realize this, then you have an opportunity at this new beginning to then just redefine what success means to you, redefine the price, and just sort of renegotiate the whole deal, right? It's sort of like you're saying, okay, Biz, I get what's happened. Now I understand when we first had this conversation, business, you and I, you knew more than I did. Now I get what's happening. Let's renegotiate our deal. Let's figure out what we want and journal through this. And that is, again, your homework, is journaling through this. Now, what does this mean for me? It's like, I always like to, what does this mean for me? Okay. So what does this mean for me? Over the course of our lives, we run into problems like this all the time, where we want something or aren't happy. We feel dissatisfied with the end result of our dreams, or something that just doesn't feel right. So think about it in terms of weight loss, right? So, back in I'm going to use the 80s as an example, 80s and 90s, because that was before we started to, be more aware of the fact that a person's physical appearance has no bearing whatsoever on their value. But back in the 80s and the 90s, there was, all about don't be fat, don't be fat, don't be fat. God, being fat's like the worst thing in the whole world. I do not believe any of this, by the way. I'm just saying this is what was out there, okay? So everybody wants to be thin, okay? So everyone's like, I want to be thin. I need to lose all this weight. And there's many ways to lose weight. You can calories in, calories out. You can exercise, work out. Again, all calories in, calories out. And that will help you lose weight, and no problem, right? So that is one way of losing weight. The other way of losing weight is to go and have surgery, right? And you can lose weight that way. The other way of losing weight is to take weight loss pills, right? Now, one way is the price you're paying is time and energy and effort. The other way, you're paying lots of money, but lots of pain in a short period of time, right, to get faster results, because that's usually how that happens. But it's important to make sure that you're spending the money on the right things, right? You can't just throw money at the problem and throw it at anything and think that if you are, if you're like, I'm going to throw money at my weight loss problem and I'm going to buy 5,000 cakes, that's not going to do it, right? So that's the same thing that's true when you're thinking about anything in your life. Think about what it is that you want. Think about the various prices that exist in it. And then you get to pick the price that you want. And when you start to approach your life as a menu of options, at that point, it never becomes your, I'm bad or I'm good or I'm failing or I'm not. It just becomes, which option am I choosing, right? Which option am I choosing? In working with many of clients over the years, what I found is that in order for you to really get to that stage where you feel comfortable and confident and I know the price, I know what I'm doing, I know how to move this forward, is one, you have to be willing to get to know yourself and what you really want. Okay. I know I keep coming back to this over and over again on all the podcasts. It's like a broken record, but it is at the core element of growth, is getting to know yourself and knowing what you want. Okay. Is being willing to work through the challenges and the discomfort to figure out what you really want, so you can make sure that the goal that you're working towards is aligned with that true thing that you want. Otherwise, you may not actually know which direction you're going in, or you may just be running towards a direction that you don't really want to be going into. So for example, when I was scaling up and I was on this momentum train and I'm running, I'm doing all these things, I'm throwing all that money out there. And I realized, wait a minute, this isn't even what I wanted in the first place. Okay. This isn't the price I want to, this isn't even what I want, right? So I'm paying a price of money, time, energy, effort for a goal I don't even want to achieve. So I had to stop, reflect, because the last time I set my goals was 5 years ago. And I've just been following those goals all along. I want to have the successful coaching business, and I've done that, right? So now what does that mean? It's I didn't reflect and think, do I want something different now that I've done that? So upon reflection, I'm yeah, I do. I want to change the way I do this. I want to do this more as a creator and be on Fireside and do YouTube. And now you can see how I'm creating all of this to move my business more in alignment with what I really want now. There's nothing wrong with what I wanted before, but that's 5 years ago. I'm a different person from the person I was 5 years ago. The pandemic happened in between there. We are all different. So give yourself the opportunity to really think about what you want and then think about the price that it takes to get to that particular goal instead of going on the train that you're on now, assuming that because you had this goal 5 years ago, that's the same goal now. And because you never thought about the price, there is no price. These are the automatic ways of thinking that we get stuck in because we're busy doing other things. When you stop and focus on this automatic thinking and reframe it, all the other things you're doing become easier because one, you can eliminate half of them because you'll be like, why am I even doing this? Why am I doing this? I don't need to do these things. So now you can do a lot less with your day, a lot less with your time. But then the things that you are spending time on, they have real impact because now you're really focusing on the things that actually make a difference to you, your business, your family, your life, and the goals that you're trying to achieve, instead of simply doing things in the hope that eventually one of those things is going to result in the success that you're looking for. Okay. So you have to be clear on knowing yourself, and then you have to be clear on the goals that you're chasing. Okay. So, cause I've worked with people who said that their goals are hit 6 figures in less than a year with their sales, but also want to spend nothing on inventory. They're unwilling to hire people to support them, and they're afraid to work on new strategies. Okay. So if you say, listen, I want to be $1 million a year coach, and but I don't want to spend any money on training. I don't want to spend any money on marketing. I don't want to spend any money on networking. I don't want to actually do any networking because I have social anxiety. Then you're stating two completely and goals that are completely not aligned with each other. One goal is I don't want to do anything, and the other goal is I want to make $100 million. So what you're actually saying is I want to make $100 million by doing nothing. You're trying to steal the car, right? So once you figure that part out, you'll realize, okay, that's not going to fly. What are my other options, right? And now again, you realize you have other options that are available to you, okay? So I want to give you a couple of examples here, just to sort of highlight, what the price, how do you figure out the price for yourself for your particular industry, okay? So someone says, I want to sell $20,000 of products in 3 months, okay? Questions that you need to ask yourself. Do you want to build the infrastructure to support that, right? In terms of staff and technology and tools. How many events of sales are those? So if you're going to try to sell products, how many sales events are you going to need to do to be able to sell that amount of product to get there? And do you have the energy and the bandwidth framework to do that? So for example, I have fibromyalgia. There's no way I could do enough. Like, I don't want to. I don't want to exhaust myself because I know that anytime I'd have to do a sale to get to that amount, I'd lose 3 days. I don't want to lose those 3 days. It's not something that I actually want to do, right? If you want to do it without events, do you have other options available? Like, do you have any other options in mind, right? What are the other options that you have in mind? Or are you simply saying, I don't want to do the events? Do you have staff who can help support you to fill those orders? And how many hours, if you don't have a staff who's going to help you fill those orders, how many hours is it going to take you to do it? And is that going to take you away from your family? What is that going to take you away from? And how much extra work is that for you? How much does that add to your plate, your exhaustion, and so on and so forth? Those are all questions you have to consider because those are all prices. The important thing to keep in mind is that these aren't prices that, like, you can pay all of them, right? Once you know what they are, you can pay any price that you want. You can pay the money, you can hire the infrastructure, you can do it yourself. You may be willing to do all of those things. If you are, that's great, but make sure you know what that price is. My sister actually is a really good example of this. When she started her business, again, so like when she went to her own boutique and I started coaching, she said that she wanted to hit $30,000 a month in sales, but she didn't want to go live, which is a critical part of hitting $30,000 a month in sales. And I said to her, okay, that's great. If you're going to do that, then it's going to take you twice the amount of time that's going to take everybody else. So whoever's starting with you today, it's going to take you twice as long to hit that amount. Okay. She said, that's fine. I know the price. 1 year later, she's not making as much as she wants. She's pretty close, but not making it as much as she wants. And she's crying and she's very upset. The fact that she's not hitting her goal, she's feeling like a failure. And she's very upset with me. We're talking on the phone and she's telling me how upset she is. And I said, Syra, I want to pause you. And I told her, I reminded her of this. And I said, this was the price. And you said you were okay with paying the price. And she was like, oh my God, I forgot that I said that. And she was like, you're right. She's like, I did say that. And I was like, do you want to go live now? And she's like, no. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, then that's the price. And she goes, you know what? Oh, I'm fine. She was totally over it because she realized that she had made this decision with a knowing mind. It wasn't that she didn't know what was going to happen. She felt empowered. All good. But when she didn't have that framework in mind to know that she was already aware that this was going to happen, she thought she was doing something wrong. Like, why am I, like, I don't understand why I'm not hitting the same goals as everyone else. And I'm like, do you want to go live? No. Well, then that's the price. And she's like, oh, well, then I'm fine. Now she hits those numbers, no problem. But because she gave herself more time to get there, instead of accelerating and going live and doing that, using that tool, she used a different tool. She got to where she wanted to go, but she had to pay the price of time. As you make these decisions, recognize that every decision has an impact on how much money you'll spend, how much time you will invest, how it's going to impact your health. As you are making these decisions, just keep those things in mind, because for you, your health may be more important than the money or the time. In that case, you're going to make a very different decision from someone for whom their health is not important, but money is what's important, right? So you just have to figure out for yourself which one of those things is more important, and then pay the price accordingly. And that's really all you're doing with all of these questions, is creating the gauge so that you can create the comfort zone for yourself that will arm you with a foundation to support you. Okay. Now, your homework for today. So the one thing that I want to, the one thing that I want to offer you as we're leaving here, right, is give you a journal prompt. Okay. I have recently started journaling, and I found that it has made a huge, huge difference in terms of how quickly I'm able to work through challenges in my life and in business. So I'm keeping up with it. And I wanted to give a journal prompt to sort of help you, whether you do it on video or think it to yourself while you're walking or write it out. Just give yourself time to reflect on this. What did you dream about when you were first starting your business? Reflect upon how you feel about your business now, right? From how you started to how you feel now. What have you gained? What have you lost? Share that with us on the business page at Manessa Konecki. So if you are watching this, well, you're obviously watching this if you're doing it, share your reflections. You can share it on the business page at Manessa.Konecki. You can tag me on Instagram at Manessa.Konecki. You can send me an email. Me at Manessa.com. Or you can hashtag us at hashtag stop shoulding. As you are going through this process, make note of any things that make you feel uncomfortable. Okay. Because the things that make you feel uncomfortable is a sign. That's a really good indicator that there's something there that you may want to work through. Just make a list. Like as you're doing your journaling, just make a list. This makes me uncomfortable. This makes me uncomfortable, or highlight them. That way, when you're ready to, like, okay, I want to reflect upon some of this, your subconscious is going to do the work for you. As you highlight each of these things, your subconscious, you'll be putting a pin in it for your subconscious while you're sleeping, while you're doing, your activities, walking, biking, hang gliding, whatever it is that you do. Your subconscious is going to do a lot of this work for you, so that when you come back next week and we're talking on Stop Shitting again, what will happen is that a lot of these things will now start to congeal together. And over time, you can actually program your subconscious to do most of this work for you, but you have to do some of the intentional work to kind of set it in the right direction. Okay. Alrighty. So, my gosh, this was like the weirdest one for me ever. I think this is the weirdest podcast for me ever. I have not ever been in so many places, but that is sort of like, I'm going to wrap this up by saying I have been working with people for 20 years on optimizing their lives and their work. My mission is to share information that will help us to get to know ourselves a little bit better so that we can create the business and the life of our dreams right now, instead of mortgaging our present for some undetermined future. Where we feel like it's okay for us to be happy. It's okay for us to rest. I challenge that. I say, fuck that shit. We can be happy now. We can make money now. We can do all those things now. But the way to do it is to shine a light on the things that we have historically been ignoring and move our attention away from a lot of these things that we're spending a lot of time on now that are not really giving a lot of results in our businesses, but we keep doing it because somebody told us it was something that we should do at some point. And the fact of the matter is, the world has changed since COVID. It's very unlikely that anyone knows what we should be doing for anything by default. Everything needs to go through our own lens. Everything needs to go through our own, almost like our own transmuting process, so that we can spit it out on the other side of our lives. Because whatever framework people teach, they teach it for themselves. And yes, it will work with, a large group of people, but without your transmuting magic, it's not actually going to do anything. So you have to be the transmuting magic that's a part of this process. Now I'm really thirsty all of a sudden. So I'm going to keep Fireside running because Fireside is here. And I'm going to go here to the questions, because usually, all right, we have some questions in here. I'm so hungry. If you have questions on Fireside, you can click on the button at the bottom, and I believe that it will give you the opportunity to ask a question. You can even come up on stage if you want to ask me a question. If you have something in your business that you yourself have been struggling with, if you have challenges in this space, or if you're simply trying to figure out what the price is for something, let's talk about it. I am... Oh, right. Sophia's on Android. So Sophia's on Android. I forgot. I told her to download Fireside. Yes. So Sophia, it's not on Android yet. It's only on Apple. You may be able to download it on your Mac because I think they have an Apple app on for the Mac. Okay. Let's see. All right. Okay. So it looks like most of these are about the Fireside app. Okay. So I want to talk about what the Fireside app is for those of you that are not on it. The Fireside app is a fabulous place where we can, so I'm on camera right now on Fireside, I'm on vertical. And what happens is that I have people in here who they can clap. Oh, we have a large studio audience sound. So let me do the laughter one. Cause I think is that one. Let's see. Nope, that's not the one. It is one of these is there. Okay. Let's see. React and do. There we go. Laugh track. Okay, so it's got a laugh track, which is me. Ow! Ow! That's not funny. Oh my god, I hit my funny bone. Not funny at all. Yeah. So we've got the ability to interact which I think is absolutely amazing because there are times where I want a laugh track or whatever. I've always wanted a laugh track, so I just love this idea that that's in here. But it also gives me the opportunity to bring people up on stage if they want to talk. People can talk amongst themselves. It has a lot of replay options. I'm still starting to, get into Fireside, but what I'm hoping to do with this is use this as where we talk more, as I'm sort of moving into more of a creator space and less of the coaching space. Alrighty, everybody. It has been so fabulous as we have no questions today. This was long. This was heavy. You are probably really pondering and thinking about this and trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to implement this in my life? What I really want to offer you is this. You've listened to the podcast, so this information is already in you. You're already percolating it through your system. See how it comes out. Not everything in this podcast is going to have immediate value, but there's going to be one or two things where you're like, I like this and I like this and everything else can go to hell. Perfect. Hold on to those two things and just apply those two things. What I have found in terms of growing, working with business owners and helping them to grow within their business is that if you just take one or two little things from anything that you learn, from any training that you go to, just 1-2 tiny little things, the compounding impact that will have on your business transcends anything that you would get out of sitting down and taking notes and implying everything from one single training. So let your subconscious do a lot of this work for you and go about your day, enjoy it, have a wonderful, wonderful time. I'm going to see you guys next week, same bad time, same bad channel. Yeah! Yay! I got a clap! Thank you so much, Fiona. Oh my god, that's amazing. I love the clap. Oh, thank you. And I will see you guys here. Stop shitting all over yourself. And for the rest of the week, please be kind to yourself. Love yourself because honestly, you are your own biggest cheerleader.